back, everybody. In today's video, we're going to teach you how to free handle venomous snakes, which is one of the most dangerous things on planet Earth to do. But before we teach you how to free handle venomous snakes properly, we're going to teach you how to safely handle a venomous snake. We're going to show you upgraded handling techniques like tailing, and then we're going to move on to the most dangerous part, which is free handling. To start off, we're going to start off slow. We're going to start off using a snake hook, not just one snake hook, but 2 snake hooks. Now, free handling venomous snakes is something I would never recommend, but there is more of a proper way to do it rather than just going in blindly. But before we get to that, I'm going to show you guys the safest way to handle venomous snakes. That's not with just 1 hook, but that's 2 snake hooks just like this. Now, the snake we're going to be pulling out is a puff adder Gaboon Viper hybrid, and it's a really heavy bodied snake, and that's exactly why I have these double hooks, is because they got 2 hooks on them spread out, and it evens the pressure on these snakes. Now, when it comes to handling venomous snakes with snake hooks, it's literally all about balance. So your goal is to evenly balance that snake right on your snake hooks. Now, as you can see, we got 1 snake hook on the back end, 1 on the front end, and I'm going to show you guys how I pull this venomous snake out and just balance him perfectly on these hooks. Now, this is the safest way to handle a venomous snake. As soon as you put your hands on the venomous snake, you're entering the danger zone. You could still get bit using snake hooks though, if you're not far enough back away. But this right here is a puff adder Gaboon Viper hybrid, and he's a little on the thin side because he hasn't ate in about a month and a half. So this guy is getting ready to breed. He's a male. And a lot of times the males, when they're ready to breed, they will not eat. So this guy, unfortunately, is not eating, and unfortunately, we don't have a female for him because he is a hybrid, and we wanted to do something super, super special. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna divide the snake into 3s. So first third, second third, and the last third. So when you wanna handle a venomous snake, the best way is to come right here on the first third, lift up, go all the way to the last third, and that right there is how you handle a venomous snake safely. And this way, you're almost guaranteed not to get bit. But there still is a slight chance, especially with the lapids, because they're super, super flighty. But when it comes to an animal like a thick-bodied viper, a Gaboon Viper, a puff adder, things like that, this is a great method for handling venomous snakes. And another tip is you never want to hold venomous snakes too far up. The farther you hold them up, the worse it is. If you hold them so high, they'll actually slip back on the hooks and right into your hands. So when you're handling a venomous snake, you want to keep them very, very level, keep them down a little bit, but never hold a venomous snake up like this because they'll fall back right into your arms. Now we're going to take it a step farther, and we're going to lose one of these hooks. Now the next technique I'm going to show you is what we call tailing. So it's when you have a hook on the first third and you have your hand on the last third. So this method is for keepers that are more experienced, keepers that have already double hooked many, many times, and they're comfortable with going hands-on. Now this technique for snakes like this, a monocled cobra, is a very, very good technique. If you were to double hook a monocled cobra, sometimes it really, really doesn't go well just because they're too flighty. So I'm going to show you guys exactly how to tail a monocled cobra. So we're just going to go in, doesn't matter where, get a hold of that cobra, try to pull him towards us. If he slips back, we're going to go farther, and we're just going to keep pulling him back towards us until we can get one hand on his tail. And when you grab the tail, you want to grab it super gentle, because if you just reach down and yank his tail, it's going to make the cobra go crazy. So once you have one hand on the tail, 1 hook on the first third, you're able to maneuver that snake. Now some of these snakes are really, really strong and they'll pull away, but that's okay. All you do is just reset. So you reset, come back here. If he pulls away again, bring him down, reset, hold him right here, and that is another extremely safe way to handle snakes. Obviously, it's more dangerous than double hooking, but it's still a relatively safe way to handle venomous snakes. Now, monocled cobras are some cobras that a lot of people like to free handle, including myself, and that is just a personal decision. If you want to free handle a snake, you can. If you want to wrestle an alligator, you can. If you want to ride a bull, you can. It's all up to you. Do I recommend it? Absolutely not. But hey, we're here in Florida, and we kind of like to live on the edge. Now, this cobra is not the best cobra for free handling, and I'll tell you why. If you notice, this cobra is not hooding up at all. So this cobra isn't giving me any direction on where she's about to go. Cobras that sit there, hood up, you can rely on their vision to manipulate their behavior and get them to strike or move a certain way. But a cobra like this that doesn't hood up much is actually the worst cobra to free handle. You can see we're going right underneath the belly. If you're going to free handle a venomous snake, you never want to grab them on top. You really want to go underneath. Then you can hold them like this, get them to hood up. But this right here is a pretty docile cobra. He's not too bad. You can see him going up on the hand. What you're going to do if that ever happens, you give it a little bit of shake. So if the cobra comes up, he's near your hand, you give it a shake, they'll fall back down. Worst case scenario, if they don't fall back down, just drop the snake. It's not worth getting bit. If your options are drop a snake or get bit, just go ahead and drop the snake. These guys are pretty hardy, these cobras. They can take a little fall, not from too high. It's the vipers that are a lot more sensitive. They can't really take any long falls. But this guy right here is the leucistic monocled cobra. You can see he's all white. He's actually a diamond line leucistic monocled cobra. There's two different lines. There's the jawlith, and this right here is the diamond. The diamond has that beautiful gray head and gets a little bit smaller. So we're just gonna grab this guy. I'm gonna do just like I showed you. Grab the tail, slide underneath, hook on the first third, and that right there is exactly how you tail a venomous snake. Like I said, a great way to handle a cobra, and even vipers. All right, guys, now down here is a king cobra. Now the king cobra is just one of those venomous snakes that people say is okay to free handle. Now let me tell you what, sometimes it's actually easier to handle a cobra this big hands-on. But it's not easier if you don't know what you're doing. Let's say you're a brand new venomous snake keeper and you hear people saying, oh, king cobras are easier to handle if you just free handle and use your hands. Well, if you have no experience, that's not the case. You're better off with a hook or even two hooks. But if you're comfortable and if you're very experienced and you know how to free handle, then it can be safer at times. Definitely more comfortable for you and the snakes, maybe not safer. Another reason people don't like using hooks on larger snakes is because if you look at this hook, look how skinny it is. If you have an 11-foot king cobra, putting all his body weight on the hook, it's gonna hurt the snake. So using your hands is a lot more comfortable for the snakes and sometimes a little bit more comfortable for the handler. But definitely you do not want to use a skinny hook on a king cobra like that. You want to use a double hook, and especially for a big Gaboon viper like this. Could you imagine handling this guy with this skinny little hook? I mean, it's going to do the job, but it's going to hurt the snake. It's going to put pressure on the ribs, and it's going to upset them even more, in return making it harder for you to handle. There's a few different snakes that I would never recommend free handling. It all depends on the certain snake and the species. So this snake right here has a nasty, nasty attitude. Some people have free handled them in the past, but this snake right here, I would never free handle. He's so small. If you were to put your hands on this snake, you're just too close to the head. Now there's certain vipers that pick up heat that really are heat-seeking missiles like the Bushmaster, but look at that. One little touch and this snake's right on you. Now he is a super bitey snake and definitely not a snake to free handle. The bigger, the better when it comes to free handling. Another snake I would never free handle is the Mangsheng viper. Now I'm gonna show you this guy real quick. I would absolutely never free handle this Mangsheng viper. That's because they're so accurate when it comes to picking up on heat signatures. They are definitely one of the more faster striking snakes. And these snakes that are arboreal, what they do is they'll wrap their tail around your hand. So if you go to handle that blue and Solaris or handle this Mangsheng viper, they wrap their tail 2 to 3 times around your finger or your hand. And even when they come back at you, you try to shake them off, you can't because they're literally stuck on with their tail. That's why species like that are not good to free handle. But it also just depends on each snake's disposition. Sometimes you have a nice blue and Solaris. Sometimes you have a mean Gaboon viper. Typically, most Gaboon vipers aren't too bad. Some can be really bad, strike backwards. But this one, for example, is a really laid back Gaboon viper, and I'll show you now. Now this snake right here might sound the meanest because of his hiss. He likes to huff and puff all day long. Get ready to listen to this. Super loud hiss. Just a light little tap. I don't want to upset him too much. Now when I'm handling snakes, I try to be super slow and super methodical. As soon as you hurt that snake or be too jerky, the snake is going to give you the same energy you give it. So I'm just going to slowly go underneath that snake. Gaboon vipers are pretty easy to handle because they're not slithering around. They're pretty stationary. But I just want to get his back end out of the cage. Now, no matter what snake it is, I would never go ahead and free handle it right out of the cage. I actually do not recommend free handling at all, but there is certain ways to become a better snake handler. And if you think about it, handling involves using your hands. Now, it's not the best technique for working with snakes, but if you're gonna free handle or handle hands-on, there is a certain way to do it. So you can see this Gaboon Viper is very, very laid back. Now, if I wanted to pick him up, I'm not gonna go reach over him and grab by his head. Usually, if you grab on that first third, you're gonna get bit instantly. What you wanna do is come underneath the belly of the snake very, very slowly, and then you can pick them up. But I guarantee, if I was picking up this Gaboon Viper on top, he would come back and he would strike me backwards. If his head goes right, I'm gonna spin right. If his head goes left, I'm gonna spin left. That's an old trick and it's called a spin. A lot of people use it with venomous snakes. You can even use it if you're tailing them or using 2 hooks. If the snake starts coming at you, all you gotta do is spin and he'll go the opposite way. So this right here is a really, really big Gaboon Viper. Gaboon Vipers have the longest fangs out of any venomous snake in the world. 2 to 3 inch long hypodermic needle fangs. But look at that big guy. Super beautiful. It's very important to stay super calm, super slow, and super fast when you need to be. But right off the bat, you don't want to be fast. You want to be super, super slow, gentle, and nice to the snakes. So like I said, if you're going to pick up this Gaboon Viper, grab the tail, lift up a tad, come underneath, then you can lift him up, no problem. It's very important to notice, this Gaboon Viper does not have heat pits. The Blue and Solaris, they have nostrils, then they have heat pits. The Bushmaster has nostrils, then they have heat pits. The Mengshan Viper has nostrils, then they have heat pits. Snakes with heat pits are not good to free handle. As you can see, this guy has no heat pits, he only has nostrils. So he's not picking up a thermal image, and a lot of the times that thermal image is what's gonna make that snake strike more often at you because humans are super, super hot. We're glowing red to these pit vipers, and that's how they can locate you and bite you super, super quick. So we're just gonna pick this guy up, not free handle him. You gotta see, when it's time, you gotta be fast. But we're gonna use this double hook because he is a heavy bodied viper. Lift him up, put him in the cage, and let him crawl in on his own pace. You can tap him a little bit, get him to hurry up, but most of the time, you just want to relax, let them go in at their own pace, and close the door. Now, a red flag, the #1 rule when having venomous snakes, keeping them as pets, never reach inside the cage. If you want to change the water, if you want to clean the hide, you got to take the snake out, then you clean the hide in the water bowl. But rule #1, you never, ever, ever reach inside that cage. All right, guys, the next snake we're going to handle is the coastal taipan. The coastal taipan is the most venomous snake in my venomous snake collection. Now, if you look at these 2 hooks, which one would you use? The one on the right. Now, if you look at the one on the right, you can see it has a super skinny, deep U on it. Now, this is called an elapid hook. So for snakes that are super fast, like to whip, this is the hook you want to use. They're more susceptible to fall out of this one, but this hook, they have no play. So this is really what you want to use with an elapid. This right here is a great taipan hook. Now we need to go in here, we need to service the cage, change his water. So I'm going to show you guys how to handle a coastal taipan. Now a coastal taipan, an inland taipan, a PNG, at no cost would you ever free handle this snake. It is the worst snake to free handle in the world just because of their demeanor and their venom. You never want to take a chance with a snake like this. You really don't want to take a chance with any venomous snake. But this snake right here is one of the most venomous snakes in the world. This snake I handle slower than any venomous snake in here. I don't grab his tail, I let his tail fall into my hand. You can see even when it falls into my hand, he still has a reaction. So we're gonna take it very, very slow. But this elapid hook is gonna hold him in nice and tight. That way I can get a good tail on him. Now typically taipans, you're gonna want a double hook. But this one is actually not too bad, so we can get away with tailing. But they are a super flighty, super flinchy snake. Look at that, the beautiful coastal taipan sitting nice on that hook. You can see I'm backing out, If he backs out from the hook, reset, hook him again, be nice and gentle. But man, I would never free handle this snake because a bite from this snake would almost certainly end your life. All right, now you guys have seen me handle my king cobra many, many times before. Now, another big rule in free handling is if something is in shed, especially a cobra, do not free handle it. Now, cobras are very easy to free handle because they rely on motion. They're very, very predictable. If you can get a king cobra's attention, and if you can get him to hood up well, you kind of know where he's going to strike. Now, this guy is deep, deep in shed. His eyes were almost solid blue a day or two ago. Then they lighten up, then they shed. But these snakes, when they're going through shed, they can't see very well. So instead of you relying on where they're going to strike, it's basically like Russian roulette. They're very, very blurry vision. They're just going to strike wherever. And a lot of times they'll end up striking you because you can't predict where they're going to strike. They're kind of just going crazy. He does have a little bit of poop in that cage. So we're going to pull him out, and I'm going to give you guys a few different pointers when it comes to handling king cobras. Guys, I just want to take a short break from today's video to mention today's sponsor, GoDaddy Domains. Now, I personally have been using GoDaddy Domains to create all of my new business domains, websites, emails, things like that. So if you're looking to start a business, you need to get your domain. I just started stonesworld.org. That way I can claim that domain and have stonesworld.org forever. Get a GoDaddy domain to unlock everything you need to start and grow your business online like a pro. Like a website your customers can find, marketing tools, email, and online payments. GoDaddy is the world's #1 domain brand that helps business owners run and start their new business. Now, GoDaddy Domains actually has an AI software that helps you build your website, set up a professional email, and unlock everything you need to start and grow your business online. A domain is your website URL. It is the foundation of your small business and helps unlock everything for you. Guys, I can't reiterate this enough. If you're a small business owner and you're ready to take your business to the next level, you have to visit GoDaddy Domains and start the next step. Head to the link in my description box or scan the QR code to get your own GoDaddy domain. Pull him out. You can see why it's so hard to handle a king cobra with a hook. That's why a lot of guys like to drop the hook and go hands-on. Now, a lot of times the hook will get in your way. When you're using just your hands, you can maneuver around, but sometimes that hook comes in handy. It's almost like a little shield. So if a king cobra comes at you, you can place that hook and you can block him from coming. If he starts to turn at me, I'm gonna spin. And like I said, free handling king cobras while they're deep in shed is not a good idea, so we really shouldn't be doing this. But when they're not in shed and they hood up and they're right in front of you, they're very predictable. You can get them to strike exactly where you want. You can manipulate the king cobra's behavior just by touching. You can see, this is really good. Now I have this king cobra's attention, so I can almost predict where he's gonna go and when I want him to strike. Look at that. Now, king cobras are notorious for charging at people, hooding very, very tall, 4 to 5, sometimes even 6 feet tall. They're very, very big king cobra. Let's say he's gonna go in there. I don't want him to go in there. All I gotta do is give him a little touch and he's gonna come right back at me. So it's very, very easy to manipulate a king cobra's behavior. But it's all about having patience and grabbing in the right area. I'm gonna be super slow, super gentle. She's really relaxed today. Doesn't even want to hood up. So we're not gonna push our luck when she's in shed. We're gonna put her right back in the cage and let her be. Now, even though this king cobra is 11 feet long, they are extremely fast. I'll show you just how fast here in a second. They'll fly back right on a dime and bite you in the hand. And that right there is how you safely handle a venomous snake. That's how you tail a venomous snake. And that's how you not handle a venomous snake, aka free handling, which we just did. And when she's not in shed, we'll go more into depth on handling specifically king cobras, where to grab, how to move when they turn back on you, how to get them to hood up by scratching the top of their hood, and a few other things. That right there is the king cobra, definitely one of the most free-handled venomous snakes, along with this guy right here, the monocled cobra. All right, guys, now I want to show you our newest venomous snakes, our Moorish viper pair. This right here is the male. Ooh, look at that, striking right off the bat. Probably not a good snake to free handle either. Now, these snakes are brand new. Another thing that's super important when it comes to how you're going to handle a venomous snake is how you know it. How is this snake's demeanor? How long have you had it? Do you know what makes them tick? Do you know what makes them strike? Some snakes, I can make them strike on a dime because I know what makes them do it. Some snakes I know where they don't like being touched and where they're very complacent being touched. Now these Moorish vipers are brand new. I'm not too familiar with them. I'm not too familiar with their personalities. So I'm not going to go ahead, I'm not going to tail, and I'm not going to free handle these snakes. But that is another key tool when it comes to how should you handle your venomous snake. It just depends on the snake. Depends on their personality, their mood, how they're feeling that day. Now my king cobra has super bad days, and on those super bad days, I don't try to touch her and free handle her. But these Moorish vipers are doing fantastic. We've got about 3-4 meals in these guys, and they should be growing super, super fast over these next couple years. Now this right here is the male. He's a lot darker, and he's a little bit smaller, and the female is a lot lighter. We'll take a look at her now. This right here is the female. Now I can already tell just from having these guys a few weeks that the female is a little bit more laid back. So I think I'm gonna take my chances. Maybe not. She's showing me a couple little signs of aggression. She's hissing and she's in that S-shaped position. Now if you're gonna go ahead and tail a snake or try to free handle it, you don't wanna do it when they're in that position. Let me tell you right now, that means the snake is not happy. She's cocked back and she is ready to explode. Ready to strike. That is a pure striking position right there. She's hissing. I've had this snake for around a month and she's never hissed. Right now she's hissing. That tells me what? This is not a good snake to put my hands on right now. Now that Gaboon viper over there, I've had that snake for 5 years. Very, very predictable. Although I can't predict what she's gonna do every single day, for the most part, I know what that big Gaboon's gonna do. But this girl right here, yeah, not gonna happen. I'm not putting my hands on this snake. So let's pick her up and get her back in the cage. I just wanted to show you guys how these snakes are doing. They are doing fantastic over here in my collection. And I'm really happy I got them. So let's pick her up and put her back. With this, coming up the hook, this is also not a good scenario. If this ever happens, lay the hook down, reposition, and grab the snake. It's all about patience and just taking your time. If you rush with these venomous snakes, that's how you're gonna get bit. But guys, if you don't wanna get bit by a venomous snake, don't handle venomous snakes. If you wanna keep them and you wanna do it safely, double hook. If you wanna increase your chances of getting bit, tail. If you really wanna increase your chances of getting bit, go ahead and free handle. It's up to everyone what they wanna do. It's not my position to tell people, do it, don't do it. You're bad for doing it, you're good for doing it. You can do whatever you want as long as I advise you what's the right thing to do, what the risks are, and I like making educational videos. So if you are gonna tail, if you are gonna double hook, if you are gonna free handle, I'm gonna show you the best way to do it to increase your chances of not getting bit. And that is the end of today's video. Don't forget, like, comment, most important part, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.